Right, I was wrong last time. There's not two more. This is the last one. After you understand all of the stuff we're doing here, and none of it's new, it's just wrapping everything up, would be a good idea to get that PowerPoint that I've posted in Blackboard, same place you found the links to this, and get some practice with that and the homework. And I mean, I have no idea when you're watching this, so you may or may not be coming up on a test deadline. That's up to you. Putting this whole thing together, exactly what is it that I expect of you from this entire unit? For any given situation, I want you to be able to tell, is it a proportion or a mean? Is it a Z or a T situation? Calculate the margin of error by hand for Z situations. Calculate the interval and interpret them. Know the effects of change of the sample size and the confidence level on the margin of error, and be able to find the sample size needed. Now, I'm not going to do out any of the work for this particular, these particular examples here. If you need to know how to calculate the margin of error or the interval or determine the sample size needed, go back to those videos and watch them again. You don't need to watch me punch numbers in a calculator anymore. So let's look at this one. Suppose I want to know how long the average movie is, or what the average lengths of movies are, or the average length of movies is. I look at 20 movies. I find that the average length is 95 minutes with a standard deviation of 8 minutes, and I want 90% confidence. Proportion or mean? You should try to answer before you wait for me to answer. Definitely going to be a mean, because for each movie we're taking a measurement and we're averaging those together. So that's going to be a mean. Z situation or T situation? Well, in order to use Z, we need one of two things. We need either the sample size to be 30 or more, which it is not, or we need to know the standard deviation of the population, which we don't. So this is going to be a T situation. To calculate the margin of error, you already know how to do that. You'll have the formula with you for the test. To calculate the actual interval, I went ahead and did this ahead of time. It's 91.9 to 98.1 minutes. So I should have told you to pause before I did that. You should make sure that you can do that yourself. You know how to plug all the numbers into the calculator. And how do we interpret this? If we were to do this process over and over again over time, 90% of the time, our interval would actually contain the mean of the population. So we're not 100% certain that the average length of movies is within this range. We're 90% certain of that, 90% confident. And what if we wanted a smaller interval? We've got a margin of error here of about 3 minutes. What if we wanted a margin of error of 2? How many more people or how many more movies would we have to measure? You can go ahead and calculate that now. I'll give you a second to pause. You should get that you need 43 people or 43 movies in order to decrease that margin of error down to 2. So let's look at another situation. We looked at 50 movies and found that 13 of them had an NC-17 rating or higher. And we want a 95% confidence interval for the percent of movies that have a rating NC-17 or higher. Proportion or mean? Definitely a proportion, because we're asking what percentage of a population has the characteristic that we're looking at. Z or T? That one's easy. Proportion's always Z. We never use T for proportions. Margin of error you know how to do. The interval you know how to do. I'll write it down here for you in a sec. Somewhere between 13.8 to 38.2%. Okay, so we think that the actual proportion of movies, we are 95% confident that the actual percentage of movies that have ratings NC-17 or higher is between 13.8 and 38.2%. What effect would changing the sample size have here? Larger sample size, smaller interval, higher confidence, bigger interval. And what sample size would we need? This is a relatively wide, it's got a margin of error of about 12. What if we wanted to drop that down to 5? We would need, go ahead, try to figure it out yourself first. Turns out we would need 295 movies in our sample in order to keep the same level of confidence, but to drop the margin of error down from 12 to something on the order of 5. All right, that's it. I hope you feel confident about this stuff. If you can get through the stuff on the PowerPoint and the stuff in the homework, the test should not be a big problem for you. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. That's what I'm here for. See you next chapter.